Yo, what's going on, everybody? FailProjectGames here. I'm being joined by my guy FailProjectGames, and today we're gonna have a discussion on, who we think had the best performance out of all the Hokages during the Fourth Great Ninja War.
hmm So we're gonna move in a kind of unorthodox order in that we're gonna jump from Hashirama to Tsunade to Sarutobi, then to Tobirama, and then to Minato. Because I'm basing this order that we're going in off of how much screen time each one got, not necessarily how great their feats were right off the bat. And I also want to talk individually about each of their many feats, like which was the best of their feats, and then discuss which was the best overall. So we're starting with Hashirama because he actually doesn't have much of anything. He truly and ultimately was undermined in the entirety of the war. He had a few strategic feats where he like discussed shit with Naruto or with Shikamaru, but ultimately the best moment he had was a comical moment in which he looks Madara in the eye after he comes down, like so eager to fight him, and he's like, "I'll deal with you later." Like it was humiliating for Madara, but it was hilarious for us. And to me, I feel like that's why Hashirama deserves to be at the bottom of this discussion because he really
Well,
didn't do a lot on screen.
one thing I will say about Hashirama is he did restrain the Tentals when he arrived with what's it called, the Gracious Deity Gates. He did restrain the Tentals with that, which is a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah, and I was actually gonna get to that. I don't know why I skipped over it. Like that's the only other thing I can truly think of that he really did anything super significant other than creating the barrier with the other three reanimated Hokage. But that's not really a himself thing. So it's really just the deity gates, and I'll deal with you later. Otherwise, when he was on screen, he pretty much got his ass whooped by everybody. And I've got one scan here that like testifies to I don't want to say useless, but like that's the only word coming to mind. Kind of like how useless he was in this whole arc.
Got you.
Where we haven't seen him in a while, and then when we finally see him again, he's been absolutely ruined by Madara, and Sasuke's coming to save him. So yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I truly think Hashirama was kind of fodder during the war. So next, I want to move on to Tsunade. Um, because of screen time reasons. She certainly got more screen time than Hashirama, and she really showed just how strong she personally really is when she not only like completely destroyed a sword of Susanoo with the Byakugo seal active and used that to fight off more, Madara clones, but with one single punch, she fully cracked. If not, I can't remember if she
it
like
was
actually broke
cracked.
through it.
She didn't break through it or shatter it, but she
Yeah,
did
she
crack the
cracked an
Susanoo.
imperfect Susanoo.
Well, it
And
wasn't.
Madara's imperfect Susanoo at that.
Yeah, yeah. You said imperfect. For a second, I thought you said perfect, and then I realized you said imperfect.
Yeah. So I feel like that and the fact that she was able to heal the other four Kage who were on the brink of death while simultaneously keeping herself alive while she was bisected down the middle is a feat in of itself.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about durability?
Yeah. Nobody's got her beat. Like her Byakugo wasn't even active at that point. She was literally holding herself together with Katsuyu's body from across a limb of tree that had severed her in half and was like blocking her two halves from meeting. So honestly, yeah, I feel like that and recovering herself. I mean, for the most part, keeping herself alive, I should say, while simultaneously healing the other four Hokage, Jesus Christ, while healing the other five Kage, were her greatest two feats. Like, I don't think summoning a third of Katsuyu's body with Sakura was a good enough feat to include.
Yeah, I agree.
So those two were pretty quick. I feel like we can argue a little bit about Hiruzen. Do you want to start with him since I started with the last two?
Um, Honestly, I think Hiruzen was he wasn't like the best Kage overall, but he was
Oh no.
definitely, running loose. And even though he was still his old self technically, being in Edo, having like no restrictions on chakra and all that, dude was going all out for the most part. I think my favorite part was having the, what was it? He had five clones use like each chakra release at once.
In my opinion, I think Hiruzen's greatest moment, and it was a very simple one, was breaking Naruto out of the tree when he was just about to get fucking swallowed up by it. Like, yeah, it's super simple, but like it meant a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I know we said we're kind of cutting out Minato saving Naruto when he gave him the Nine Tails, but that's a little different because
Because Naruto was literally dead then.
dead. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was actually dead. Like a lot of people debate that too, but like that's a topic for another day.
Sakura literally says no pulse, no heartbeat, and she's a medical
Massaging his
ninja.
heart to get a
Yeah,
fucking beat, like,
yeah.
and he still did not respond. Um,
So, anything else for heroism?
I was just about to ask you the same thing.
Not really. I mean, overall, I did like how they presented heroism in the war because seeing him as an old man in part one, like it really left a lot what to be wondered about him. And while this didn't
Yeah,
answer everything, I feel like if it was prime Edo Hiruzen, it would have been even more insane. You know what I mean?
you know.
So it still was cool to see him without the limitations that his old self had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to Tobirama, I want to start. I wrote these down in no particular order, so I'm just gonna go off of what I have written. So the first thing I have is when he and Naruto teleported behind Jubito, and Naruto Rasengan them in the back with nature energy because not only did Tobirama pick up on that immediately,
Yep.
he himself didn't know that nature energy would work until he saw Naruto and Sage Mode. He was like, "Oh shit!" He walks up, puts his hand on his back, and he'd already had a mark on Obito, so he just teleports behind him for Naruto to hit him and land a clean shot. Like he is quick on the uptake. He is so fucking smart. I would argue he's as smart, if not smarter, than Shikamaru.
Really?
Yeah, I would definitely say as smart. Like arguing that he's smarter is definitely a topic for debate, but we don't. We also don't have enough Tobirama in the series to make that debate happen. So I had that, and I'm gonna go off another little one: the infinite paper bomb jutsu that he used
Yep.
on Obito because of Obito's quick regeneration with the Ten Tails. That was actually really quick thinking because to do that bought people seconds, bought them time, and it was time they needed. His best moment was when he outwitted Madara just ever so slightly. It gave Madara a moment to like think, "Oh shit," even though he still totally countered it. But when he attacked Madara from behind with his kunai, and Madara dodged and like deflected the kunai out of his hand, but he had already put a flying Raijin seal on it and used it to teleport behind him like Minato did with Obito.
Yeah.
That was definitely a high IQ moment. Like, there's no two ways about that. Personally, I think that's Tobirama's greatest moment. Because it showcases not only his fighting prowess, his speed and his agility, but also his intelligence and his ability to think on the fly. Because he had to have been on his way there by the time he put that seal on the kunai. So if you feel like you agree with me that that's his best moment, then I think we can move on to Minato.
Alrighty. So I want to start off with Minato, with where Minato really starts off himself. Um, so I
Okay.
really love how Minato is the first Edo Tensei Kage to show up on the battlefield. Shows up and teleports the Tensei's Biju bomb away from the battlefield so as to not, blow up everyone. And then
Yeah.
has a conversation with Naruto and Sakura, and then the other three Kage show up afterwards. That in
And
itself
then
to
the
start
explosion
up.
happens.
Yeah, that in
And he
itself.
literally says, "You guys might want to brace yourselves." Ino's like, "The fuck?" And he's like, "Yeah, I sent this to the ocean."
But that in itself, just to like start it off, like really just shows that. I mean, and the Kages, they all say it after, like they all acknowledge Minato is the fastest when they all
Yeah.
show up.
even Tobirama, who was known as the fastest in the world of his time, he was like, "Damn, fourth, you might be faster than me."
Yeah,
So to go off chronologically from that, his KCM reveal was absolutely stunning. Like
dude,
that
I
was a
loved
moment
it.
I did not see coming,
I
but
loved it.
I totally get like even then, like at the very same moment, didn't see it coming. I was like, oh, and then I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things that's just like you should have thought about it years ago, but you never did. I think that was certainly one of his best. With him, I mean, we're gonna go through a couple more, but with him, I actually have one moment that I thought was his best, and one moment that I thought was the overall most important of the entire war. His Sage Mode reveal later on, I feel like that was a good highlight. Definitely not one of his greatest, but it certainly showed that like Jiraiya like certainly did care about his students. Like he taught them everything. Like
Yeah.
if he could do it, he expected you to be able to do it. I got three more moments. And if when I finish this one, if you've got another one, and if it happens to be one of the two that I have left, I'll let you know, and we'll talk about that. Certainly, one of his absolute best moments in the entire war was when everybody was tug of warring the Ten Tails chakra from Obito, and he jumped on it and literally sent tethers out to the entire alliance. Just look at how precise it has to be, because not only are each of those branches thousands of ninja, but each of those branches literally has to zig and zag within itself and split off into those tree branch like shapes. So the amount of chakra control he has there is definitely greater than Naruto's at that point. And Naruto is like one of the best controlled chakra users in the entire fucking world at that point.
The best thing about Minato at the point he's revived in is when he died, he was only 24. So in terms of peak prime, he was in his prime in terms of
Yeah, absolutely.
capabilities. So being revived in Edo Tensei, plus the addition of the KCM and the Sage mode, it's literally prime Minato with no limits.
Yeah.
Another one we can get into is when 8 Sky is fighting Madara and he's using his ability flying Raijin to get around the battlefield to teleport truth seeking orbs away from Guy as to let Guy really fight without getting caught off and killed by those. Because let's be honest, if Minato is not doing that, Guy gets hit by the truth seeking orbs and dies there.
Yes, that was the moment that I thought was his best. So yeah, like I was saying, like that is what I believe was Minato's most important moment in the entire war, or not most important, his best moment, because of the fact that Guy would be dead, like plain and simple. Guy, Lee, Kakashi, Gaara, they all would have died right there, and with that, Naruto would have died as well.
That's a little bit debatable just because the Naruto that comes back at that point goes on to kind of like really contend with Madara. I mean, he comes back to just straight up kicking one of the truth seeking orbs, going at guys on the ground, almost dead body.
Okay, true. The debate to okay, so it'd be debatable to say Naruto would have died too. But on to my last point. If you have others after this, or if you disagree and want to talk about something else, then absolutely go for it. I think stopping Kakashi from killing Obito was the most important thing any of the five Kage did during the entire war.
I agree.
Damn, that was easy.
No,
Because
because it goes into Obito then being able to eventually have Kakashi get in DMS at the end. So you know what I mean?
yeah. So all in all, then, what phobic do you think is the single Kage moment that was, or Hokage moment that was the most important?
Overall, I'm gonna go with the moment where all of them showed up at the start simply because it's stated by a few of the like lower tier ninja there that they were very reassured and happy to see the four Hokage joining them in the fight. So I
Okay,
feel
the
like
morale.
all of them joining really boosted the morale of all the
Yeah,
Shinobi Alliance overall. And I think that in itself is a very major part.
that's a fair assessment. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I bet
You
you
know
weren't
what? I didn't
expecting
even
that from
think
me.
about it like that. No, I wasn't actually. I was totally expecting you to put a little to think a little longer and like come up with either either resigning yourself to what I said about Minato's, and agreeing with me, or like actually hitting me out of the ballpark with something like, oh, Hashirama is this, that, and the third moment. You know, like just I of all the things that I was expecting to not be expecting, that was not it.
Oh, I mean, overall, I don't think it's any debate at all that Minato easily performed the best. I figured that would be the conclusion we both made going into this.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't think that's
absolutely.
debatable at all. And honestly, I think Minato in his Edo form is the strongest Hokage, aside from Hokage Naruto.
Yeah, I totally agree. Honestly, I think Minato's Edo form, uh, not like hand to hand and all, but like overall chakra control is still on par with Naruto. I feel like his capacity for high level jutsus is still on par with Naruto's. And like you said earlier, Minato was 24. He was in his fucking prime.
A good comparison to seeing how much stronger he really got is going back to the 10 Talos Biju bomb, because we know that when the 9 Talos and Obito attacked the village, he did the same thing with the 9 Talos Biju bomb, which is smaller than the 10 Talos bomb that
Oh
was shot
yeah.
at the Alliance. So it
And
just shows the
that,
difference in him not having to hold back at all.
not only that, but the Ten Tails Biju Bomb literally disappeared like that,
Yeah, and the other
whereas the
one,
Nine
it's
Tails
shown
like
disappearing.
sunk into a
Yeah,
dimensional space.
100%. You just read my mind there.
So I mean, I guess that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Um,
Hope you all enjoy this discussion. I definitely had a lot of fun with this. I think that wraps it up for us today, guys. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like on the video. Let us know what you think of this discussion. Who you think would be ranked 1 to 5. I mean, I really think it's no debate. Minato at 1. And then once you go from
absolutely.
there, I think that's when you can actually start debating which Hokage, did best in the war. But this has been Phobic Shiki. Val, you want to say anything?
But we're coming up on spooky season soon. On Fail Project Games Twitch channel, we're gonna be playing a lot of horror last week of September, and then October 25th onward until November 7th.
That's a whole bet, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this has been us. Peace.
See you guys.